When a black entrepreneur is denied access to his privately owned company jet by an arrogant and racist flight crew, he calmly reveals a shocking truth. They're on his payroll. What follows is a reckoning no one saw coming. The hum of private jets ascending into the bright Los Angeles sky filled the air as Marcus Gray stepped out of his sleek black Tesla. The valet's eyes briefly widened as they met Marcus's, a tall, broad-shouldered black man dressed in dark jeans, a tailored navy jacket, and white sneakers. Marcus handed over the keys with a polite nod, his calm confidence exuding an air of quiet authority. The private terminal was a study in opulence. Marble floors gleamed under soft, ambient lighting. Wealthy passengers reclined in leather seats, sipping champagne as uniformed staff bustled discreetly. Marcus walked in with purpose, his carry-on slung over one shoulder. He glanced briefly at the gilded clock on the wall. He had precisely 1 hour before takeoff for a critical business meeting in New York. Approaching the reception desk, Marcus greeted the attendant with a warm but professional smile. The attendant, a young woman with carefully styled hair, barely looked up from her screen. Her eyes flicked to his attire and lingered for a moment too long before she spoke. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone neutral but edged with dismissal. "I'm here for the gray tech jet," Marcus replied evenly. The attendant hesitated, typing something into her computer. She frowned slightly. "Name?" "Marcus Gray," he said. Her fingers paused over the keyboard, and for a split second, her expression faltered. But she quickly masked it with a practiced smile. "One moment, please." Marcus stepped aside, his sharp eyes scanning the terminal. He was accustomed to these moments, the split-second calculations people made when they saw him. Even after years of success, the weight of assumptions lingered in the air, subtle but undeniable. Across the room, Cheryl Lockwood emerged from a nearby lounge, clipboard in hand. Her tailored uniform and perfectly coiffed blonde hair gave her an air of authority. She caught sight of Marcus and immediately strode toward him, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. "Excuse me, sir," she began, her tone clipped and efficient. "Are you lost? This area is for private jet passengers only." Marcus turned to face her, his expression calm but firm. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be," he said. Cheryl's eyes narrowed slightly, her gaze sweeping over him. She gave a thin smile that didn't reach her eyes. "And you are?" "Marcus Gray," he said again, his voice steady. "I'm here to board my jet." Cheryl's brows lifted in what could only be described as surprise or disbelief. She glanced at the receptionist, who shrugged helplessly. Cheryl turned back to Marcus, her smile tightening. "Let me check on that for you," she said, her tone oozing condescension. "Please wait here." Marcus remained still, his face betraying none of the irritation simmering beneath the surface. He had learned long ago that composure was his greatest weapon. As Marcus waited, Cheryl moved to a corner of the reception desk and whispered hurriedly to the attendant. Her voice wasn't low enough to mask her words entirely. "Are you sure he's not mistaken? This happens all the time." The attendant murmured something in response, but Cheryl shook her head, her lips pressing into a thin line. She turned back to Marcus, her expression carefully neutral. "I'm sorry, Mr. Gray," she said, "but I can't allow you to board without proper verification. Security measures, you understand." Marcus met her gaze, his dark eyes steady. "My name is on the flight manifest," he said. "Perhaps you should check it again." "Of course," Cheryl said briskly. "But in the meantime, I must ask you to step aside so we can process our other passengers." As if on cue, a group of well-dressed individuals entered the terminal. Cheryl's demeanor shifted instantly. Her smile became warm and welcoming, her voice lilting with practiced charm. "Mr. Edwards, welcome back. Let me escort you to the lounge," she said, completely ignoring Marcus. Marcus watched as she ushered the group past him, his jaw tightening. He glanced at his watch, 45 minutes until takeoff. The time for patience was running out. Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed his assistant, Mia. Her voice came through immediately, calm and efficient as always. "What's wrong?" she asked. "I'm being delayed," Marcus said. "Can you get the terminal manager on the line? I need this resolved." "Give me 2 minutes," Mia replied. True to her word, within minutes, the terminal manager, a middle-aged man with a harried expression, approached Marcus. Cheryl trailed behind him, her face a mask of professional indignation. "Mr. Gray, I'm so sorry for the confusion," the manager said, his tone full of deference. "I assure you, we'll have you boarded right away." Cheryl's eyes darted between Marcus and the manager, realization dawning too late. "He's the owner," she whispered harshly. The manager gave her a sharp look before turning back to Marcus. "Please accept our apologies," he said. "We'll handle everything from here." Marcus's voice was calm, but carried an undeniable weight. "Not so fast." He stepped forward, his gaze fixed on Cheryl. The terminal fell silent as passengers and staff turned to watch the unfolding scene. "You dismissed me without verifying who I was," Marcus said, his tone cutting through the tension. "You assumed I didn't belong here. And you treated me with less respect than anyone else in this room." "Why?" Cheryl's face flushed. I was following protocol." "Protocol?" Marcus repeated, his voice edged with disbelief. "Or prejudice?" She opened her mouth to respond, but he raised a hand to stop her. "I built this company so no one could make me feel small," he said, his voice steady. "And I won't tolerate it from someone I'm paying." Turning to the terminal manager, he said, "Fire her. And the rest of her crew. Immediately." As the jet soared above the clouds, Marcus sat back in his leather seat, the tension slowly ebbing away. He glanced at his phone, where dozens of messages from colleagues and friends waited. But one message from Mia caught his attention. "Do you want me to release a statement about what happened?" she had written. Marcus thought for a moment before typing his reply, "Yes. But let's focus on the bigger picture." He drafted the statement himself, describing the incident without naming names. "Today's events are a reminder that appearances still dictate how people are treated," he wrote. "It's time we challenge these biases. In every industry." By the time Marcus landed in New York, his statement had gone viral. Social media lit up with debates about privilege and prejudice, with thousands sharing their own stories of discrimination. Major news outlets picked up the story, and the airline CEO issued a formal apology. Cheryl and her crew's dismissal became a cautionary tale within the industry, sparking mandatory training sessions on. Months later, Marcus sat in a packed conference hall, delivering the keynote address for a global summit on diversity in leadership. His voice resonated through the room as he shared his vision for a more equitable future. "It's not enough to succeed on our own," he said. "We must create spaces where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, no matter who they are or where they come from." The audience rose to their feet in applause, inspired by his journey and determination. For Marcus, the incident at the terminal had become more than a moment of personal vindication. Subscribe to our channel for soul-stirring stories.